What a world would look like.
I think it is very easy for us to lose track of details and things that, sometimes we take things for granted, and to take things that we see in our lives as the default and being normal. So events like this just brings other perspectives into your mind and to push you to start to think about, is this what we really want, or what is really needed, or what is really normal?
我觉得这样的活动是非常重要的，可以让就是这边的民众了解到女性开发者的重要，还有这样子一个群体存在。然后我也希望透过这样的活动，能够让世界或者是台湾更加关注我们独立的女性游戏开发者。
Even though we're all really aware that it's important to have diverse teams and diverse representation and content in video games, it still really isn't the case.
After graduating, I just jumped right into it, and because I have always wanted to do that, because I had a very fonding memory playing video games when I was a child and with my father. So that just basically brings me to wanting to do something that is creative and bringing those kind of core memories to people.
I think I did my master's in game design in 2010, and that was, I don't know, more of a coincidence. I just wanted to do something fun, do a different thing with my life, and discovered educational games and realized there's a passion there for me that I can transform education with joy.
对我来说，游戏设计是一个可以把我心里的世界，还有我的想法跟故事传达给玩家还有观众的一个方法，所以我才会选择想要加入游戏这样子的一个行列。
I came into the game industry in the generation after Gamergate, I think is what I would say. I was given the ability to pursue game scholarship because of organizations wanting to think more about like feminist criticism of games in the wake of Gamergate. There was a push back against Gamergate in the mid-2010s that allowed me to do a master's degree that was funded. Even though I had been playing games and thinking about games critically for my entire life, I didn't think that it was possible for me. Slowly, as I continued my scholarship, my scholarly work inched closer and closer to making. So this is how I got into world building research. The way that games are made, the way that we think about the worlds of games, and the way that we make game worlds. And then I slowly started critiquing through making. And I realized that making games is really fun actually, and really compelling in its own right. And that I can engage critically with the games industry through the work that I make, not only through scholarship, but through the creative process.
Yeah, the vast majority of video game characters are white and male, which is just a minority of the player base and human population. Yeah, we're struggling quite a bit with that. And also in terms of content, most of it is action and violence related, and a lot of us, to relax and unwind, would rather do something that isn't more stressful than our regular lives. I think to do with computer science in general, and how it has been historically just for a long time in the hand of white men, just being in computer science, computer labs, and just having the time and the resources to make entertainment with that kind of backing.
There's a lot of embedded assumptions that get built into the world that it's clear that in the writer's room are not being questioned in any way. So on a thematic level, there's this way that worlds are maybe kind of tired or reproducing things that are familiar to us without thinking about it.
Generally speaking, recently diversity has increased a bit, and I'm very happy to see that. But of course, within a society, there's always major things that to be discussed and used and representative. But I think, yeah, things are popping up.
我个人会希望市面上会有越来越多以女性作为主要客群的游戏作品。我觉得这样的方式能够 让更多的女性就是玩这样子的游戏，那或许也可以增加更多女性开发者。我的游戏《夜归》它是一个女性视角作为出发点的游戏，所以主要宗旨是希望玩家可以体验身为女性她们在夜晚独自回家的时候可能会面临到什么样的恐惧跟压力。
I think there's been a lot of improvement lately and a lot of critical discussion, but I think that things also need to improve a lot. I think on the one hand, there are a lot of trans people making games, and there always have been, right? But I think that the problem being a trans person in the game industry is that you don't quite fit in with the cis men crowd, right? The sort of traditional structures of power in the industry. But even in spaces like this, in spaces for women's game production and empowerment, trans people don't quite fit in either, right? The problems that I face as a trans person are very different from the problems that cis women face. I think it's a significant problem in the industry that marginalized people are asked to divulge their identities and to commodify their identities in order to live and to exist, right? I think it's great that there are autobiographical games, and I find them personally very moving, and I think that people who make them are really incredible and brilliant people, and they should exist. But also, trans people and queer people and women and people of color and marginalized people of all kinds should also be allowed to make games that don't talk about trans experience, right? To make games, fantasy games, to make strange strategy games, to make roguelikes, to make shoot 'em up games. Marginalized people in general shouldn't be asked always to be at the avant-garde.